Have you ever heard about Ronald Reed, the janitor who, when he passed away in 2014, had $8 million in savings? He didn't win the money in the lottery, nor did he inherit it. He achieved this incredible wealth by saving diligently throughout his life, allowing the magic of compounding to work its wonders. The important lesson here is that your financial habits often matter more than your level of education or intelligence. Even if you don't hold a fancy degree or come from a prestigious institution, you can still build wealth through smart financial choices. As Morgan Housel explains, achieving financial success isn't an exact science, it's a soft skill. What you do with your money is often more crucial than what you know. So take the next few minutes to watch this video, and you might improve your skills in the art of investing. This video summarizes the top 5 insights from Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money, offering valuable guidance on how to achieve financial independence through stock market investments. It's a simple yet powerful way to enhance your financial knowledge and make better money choices. Let's talk about something important: paying the cost. Think about it like this. Imagine you really want a fancy bracelet, the kind that would make your friends go, "Wow." So you go to the store and there it is, shining in the display. But guess what? To own that bracelet, you've got to pay for it, whether with cash or your trusty ATM card. Now, here's where the ethical side comes in. You've got to understand that getting that shiny bracelet comes with a cost, a price you have to pay. Life's a bit like that. It also asks for something in return for the things that you want. When it comes to investing, it's no different. It's like buying that bracelet, but instead of cash, you're using your money to buy shares in companies. And just like with the bracelet, there's a cost involved. You see, if you want to make a lot of money in the stock market over a long time, you have to be ready to face the ups and downs. Imagine this. You believed in Netflix 10 years ago, so you invested a big chunk of your money in their stock. Today, you'd be sitting on a nice pile of cash. But here's the concern: could you handle the cost of that journey? When the stock market goes through tough times, like when big companies you've invested in don't do as well as expected, your money might take a hit. If the idea of seeing your overall money drop by 20% in just a week makes you nervous, then chasing these big gains might not be the best plan. Remember, making a lot of money usually means there's a chance you could lose a lot too. So, before you dive into the world of investing, think about whether you're ready to pay the cost, both the good and the challenging parts. Because in the end, it's all part of the game. Think about this for a moment. Imagine it's the year 2011 and you've invested in Netflix. At that time, Netflix faced some serious rough patches. Customers were dropping off and the company's stock price took a crash, dropping by a whopping 80% from its highest point. That's a tough situation to weather, right? Now picture yourself in the months that followed. Your investment returns might look pretty grim. The damage done to your financial standing and your future plans wouldn't exactly bring joy. You might even start doubting the wisdom of your Netflix investment. This is a real-life example of what can happen in the investing world. But here's the thing. Even if your investment strategy isn't as extreme as what happened with Netflix, you'll still have to deal with something called volatility. It's like the roller coaster ride of the stock market. Let's say you decided to invest in an S&P 500 index fund back in 1981. Well, over the years, there were times when your investment took a hit. About 12 years in total when it dropped by 20% from its peak, and roughly 7 months when it was slashed in half. That's no walk in the park. Investing in stocks is a powerful way to grow your wealth, but let's be honest with ourselves. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Every investor, no matter how experienced, will face both ups and downs along the way. It's part of the package, and you've got to see it as the price you pay for the promise of a better financial future. So remember, investing isn't just about the gains, it's also about navigating those challenging moments and staying the course. The second insight we're exploring is about the never-ending pursuit of more. Capitalism, the system we live in, is quite good at doing two things: creating wealth and making us envious of others. This desire to outshine our neighbors, colleagues, and friends can be a powerful motivator, pushing us to work hard and aim for success. It's a good thing to be driven to be more productive and find meaning in our work. However, there's a flip side to this. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, it can lead to a perpetual feeling of inadequacy. Let's throw in some numbers to put things in perspective. To be part of the top 1% of earners in the United States, you need to rake in somewhere between $500,000 to $600,000 per year. Now, let's talk about someone specific, like a doctor we'll call Ernst Bill. By most standards, Ernst is quite well off. He can afford nice cars, go on fancy vacations to faraway lands, and might even hire others to do the boring stuff for him. Ernst takes pride in his financial achievements, but things took a turn when he bought a vacation home in San Francisco and met his neighbor Ken. Now, let's introduce you to Ken, a CEO of a major public company. Ken brings home more than $12 million annually. Ernst, who used to be content with his financial accomplishments, suddenly feels differently when he meets his richer neighbor, Ken. But the comparisons don't end there. Ken, with his $12 million, pales in comparison to his friend Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players in history. Michael belongs to the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%, with a fortune of $3 billion or more. Michael makes Ken's wealth seem relatively modest. And then there's Michael's acquaintance, Bernard Arnold, who's in the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%. Bernard has amassed a staggering wealth of around $500 billion. The point here is there is always someone who seems to be wealthier. The envy stemming from these comparisons has, throughout history, driven many individuals to make unwise decisions. Some have borrowed large sums of money to climb higher, only to lose everything in a short span. It's a reminder that the never-ending chase for more can sometimes lead us down faithless paths. Let's explore the third insight. What's considered crazy depends on who's looking. At first glance, it may appear that many individuals make irrational decisions when it comes to their money. Some squander on extravagant items, while others opt to hide their money away at home. It's essential to recognize that people hail from diverse backgrounds, upbringing, and unique life circumstances. Educational levels also vary, all of which shape their distinct perspectives and values. What seems like madness to one person may seem entirely rational to another. Morgan Housel illustrates this concept using the example of lottery tickets in his book. In the United States, households with the lowest incomes spend an average of over $400 annually on lottery tickets. This amount is 4 times higher than what the highest income group spends. Moreover, shockingly, more than 1/3 of Americans cannot come up with $400 in case of an emergency. These disparities in financial behavior highlight the impact of individual circumstances on decision-making. What may seem like an imprudent choice to some might be a necessity or a source of hope for others. It's a reminder that we should approach financial judgments with empathy and an understanding of the diverse factors that influence how people manage their money. Ultimately, the definition of crazy varies greatly depending on one's perspective and life experiences. Consider this scenario. There are folks who are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet and hardly finding any extra cash to save. They can't even afford life's basic necessities. For them, buying a lottery ticket is their way of reaching for the dream that many of us may already be living. This explains why they often buy more lottery tickets. Now, if you're an investor, it's vital to understand that we're all unique individuals. This means that we shouldn't blindly mimic someone else's investment choices if they don't align with our own financial goals. For instance, you might be comfortable taking more risks with your money compared to a billionaire. If your primary aim is to grow your wealth significantly, not just safeguard what you already have, then following the exact investment strategy of a billionaire might not be the right path for you. Recognizing the diverse perspectives people have, or at the very least acknowledging that various viewpoints exist, empowers you to better comprehend our society and helps you chart your own financial course. It's about realizing that each of us has our own unique financial journey to navigate, shaped by our individual goals, risk tolerance, and circumstances. Let's delve into the fourth insight. PeekABoo. Have you ever wondered what links together significant events like the Great Depression, World War II, the financial crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic? They all share common traits. They shaped our society, had a profound impact on financial markets, and were nearly impossible to predict. Nassim Taleb, an author, coined a term for these events, black swans. A black swan is defined by 3 key characteristics. First, it's an outlier, something that falls far outside our usual expectations. Second, it carries an enormous impact, often shaking the world. Third, it only becomes clear and understandable after it has already occurred. Here's the twist. Our human nature often tricks us into believing that we should have seen these black swans coming, even though they're, by definition, unpredictable. Picture this scenario. It's Black Monday in 1987 and the stock market loses nearly a quarter of its value in a single day. How would you have reacted if you were there? These black swan events teach us a valuable lesson about the unpredictability of life and financial markets. They remind us that sometimes, despite all our efforts to plan and predict, the unexpected can happen. It's a humbling insight that encourages us to stay flexible and adaptable in our financial journey. Here's an eye-opening fact. If you invested in the S&P 500 index 22 years ago, but happened to miss out on the 4 best performing stock market days, your return on investment would be 164%. Instead of a much higher 291%. That's a substantial difference. The valuable lesson here is that it's often wiser to prepare yourself mentally and financially for unexpected challenges than to rely on the hope of reacting swiftly when a crisis strikes. Instead of placing too much faith in broad predictions, it's crucial to recognize that the events causing significant market fear are typically the ones that catch us off guard and are extremely tough to foresee. In other words, it's better to have a resilient financial plan in place to weather the storms of uncertainty rather than trying to predict the unpredictable. Now let's explore the fifth insight, the attraction of negativity. Imagine you're constantly fixated on the various reasons why the stock market might crash later this year. You point to factors like the massive US government debt, the potential repercussions of stimulus checks, the resurgence of inflation, or the emergence of a new COVID-19 strain. It's easy to get absorbed in these negative scenarios, leading to a bleak view of the current state of the market cycle. On the flip side, if you consider the potential for ongoing improvements, such as increasing life expectancy, declining costs of sustainable energy, or the rapid advancements in computing power, you might simply shrug your shoulders and not give it much thought. It's a curious phenomenon that negative thinking often appears more intelligent, while positive thinking can sometimes be viewed as less informed. This inclination towards negativity stems from our evolutionary past, where creatures that took potential dangers more seriously than opportunities had a better chance of survival and reproduction. However, it's important to strike a balance between acknowledging risks and recognizing opportunities. In the world of investing, it's not just about dwelling on the potential pitfalls, but also appreciating the possibilities for growth and prosperity. It's a common tendency to pay more attention to those who tend to focus on the negative side of things. This inclination isn't just a fancy of human nature, it's deeply rooted in our evolutionary history. Bad events often unfold quickly, while progress typically takes a considerable amount of time. Progress is a slow and steady journey, whereas setbacks can strike in the blink of an eye. Since negative events occur with shorter time frames, they tend to captivate our attention more readily and make for more compelling stories. To craft a hopeful narrative about the future, we need to shift our perspective to longer time frames, which might not be as immediate or thrilling. Recognizing that we need to find pessimistic people more interesting than their optimistic counterparts can help us become more open-minded. So the next time you find yourself drawn to someone highlighting the downsides, remember that it is a part of our nature. But also, consider the value of looking at the bigger picture and the slow, steady progress that often leads to brighter tomorrows. When it comes to the stock market, it's crucial to understand that wealth accumulation involves navigating through its fluctuations. Envy isn't a productive emotion. It's unwise to jeopardize what you have and need for things that you don't possess and don't truly require. Keep in mind that people have diverse viewpoints, and what appears as a clever move to one may not hold true for another. Instead of attempting to predict when adversity will strike, it's prudent to prepare yourself mentally and financially to handle unexpected challenges. Additionally, exercise caution when receiving investment advice. Ensure you conduct your research and gain conviction before committing your resources. In the world of investing, informed decisions are key to financial success. It's a prudent approach that safeguards your hard-earned money and increases the likelihood of achieving your financial goals. Kindly subscribe to my channel, like my video, and please leave a comment.